Hello, my name is Shawn Harper, and like you mentioned, I played 7 years professional football with the Rams, with the Colts, NFL Europe. I played offensive lineman, both right and left tackle. I had an absolute blast. In addition to, I'm a CEO, a business owner, travel, speak, and invest in the world's greatest resource, which is people. And I've learned that if you invest in people, it has the potential of reaping generations of dividends. Now, oftentimes when you hear stories like that, you're like, well, you've had a great life, you had a great ramp up. We see how you treat athletes, but you know what? Nothing could be further than the truth. And to illustrate this, I want to bring a story that I often talk about on how you can have all the potential, you can have the capacity for greatness and growth, and the ability to achieve. But if you're shackled here because of a label, of a tag, of what people say you are, where you're going to go, it will hinder your growth. Here it is. A father one day decides to take his son to the zoo for one of the first times. And at the zoo, this kid is seeing all the animals, the giraffe, the parakeet, the tiger, and then he sees it. He sees this humongous elephant, but he notices the elephant's being held by a small chain or a rope. And he looks up at his father. He's like, Daddy, how is it that this 12,000-pound elephant is being shackled by the small chain? The father, sensing the confusion in his son, sits him down and begins to tell him the story. He said, son, when an elephant was just a baby, they tied a humongous chain to its right ankle. And that baby elephant would pull and pull and pull for days, weeks, months, and years, wanting to break free, wanting to experience freedom. It would pull and pull and pull until one day it says to himself, not only can I not break the chain today, but I'll never be able to break these chains. You see, it's one thing to have chains here, but it's a tragedy when we allow situations and circumstances and words and expectations to place chains here. That's my story. See, I'm standing in the second grade line, first day of school in the second grade. I was so excited to be a second grader. I was plotting world domination. And I'm watching the teacher as she walks towards me from the first grade, grab my left hand, and she pulls me back into the first grade line. And I'm looking at my former friends now in the second grade, and one by one, they're like, Shawn, you failed. Shawn, you're stupid. Shawn, you're dumb. And my mom had to struggle raising all 6 of us from the south side of Columbus, Ohio. And, I moved from the first grade to the first grade to the second to the third to the fourth. And by the time I was in the 5th grade, I was falling so far behind. And one day, the teacher asked for everyone to read out loud. And so I would count the number of students. And I had 12, 13 students, and then I would focus on the 13th or 14th, whatever paragraph, and I'm trying to get every word right, and I'm seeing letters mixed up, and I'm really sweating. I'm trying to get this right, and just when I got it right, she says, well, instead of you reading paragraph 13, read paragraph 14. And it just threw me off. I wasn't prepared, and I stood up. As I started to read, I was stuttering, and I stuttered profusely. I couldn't complete a sentence till college. And the students are laughing, and she held me there for 5 minutes. And then later that day, she asked people to go to the board, and I couldn't spell. And a long story short, I went to a room, and I was in the room with a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a sociologist, and all these ologists are in the room, right? And they begin to test me for 2 to 3, maybe 4 days. And they called my mom into an emergency meeting. And I remember that psychiatrist looked my mom in the eye and said, ma'am, your son has 4 to 5 documented learning disabilities. And they begin to prescribe my life to me. This is where you're going to happen, and this and this. And, they had a very victimization attitude. And I begin to watch my mom, and she's rocking back and forth. And then she slams her hand down, and she says something that I didn't really grasp in that moment, but it changed the trajectory of my life. She said, you will not label my boy. And I went on from the 5th grade to 6th, all the way through high school. Leaving high school with a 1.62 accumulative GPA, not on my ACT, underperforming in every aspect of life. I tried football, but you know what? I failed 2 physicals, and I'm extremely flat-footed. So I'm thinking I can't play football, but the coach kept sending me to doctor after doctor after doctor until one of the doctors, his friend, who signed off on that physical. And I began to, start at the football journey. And I'm leaving that high school and not playing or starting in football. And I go off to a junior college in Iowa. And the first year at that junior college, I sit the bench the entire season. And I Basically, I gave up. My mom encouraged me to stay there. And I had a conversation that fed into what my mom said to the psychiatrist. She said, I said, you know what? I can't be successful, but I can win. And the moment I said I can win, everything begins to change. Understand this, is that all actions stem from thoughts. All thoughts come from your belief system, but there's one step deeper, which is your self-concept. I said, I am a winner. I am not disabled. I am uniquely enabled. And every area of major weakness or disability in my life became a strength. Flat-footed, failing football physicals, playing professional football, stuttering my entire life, not completing a sentence to college, to speaking to you right now. 1.62 cumulative GPA, major graduate from the Indiana University, IU Bloomington, a business owner for over 20 years. And you know what? I can rest in that moment. I can be excited and I can put my chest out if I wanted to. But, you know, one day, a few years back, I began to ask myself, how did you make it? And as my mind began to roll back, I realized that there were certain individuals, certain people that saw the potential, that didn't see the problems, they saw the possibilities in Shawn Harper. And they saw the king in the kid. And I label these individuals as heroes. From my high school coach to a counselor to my mother, God bless my mother. And in the darkest moments when I had to make a choice, victim or victor. Victors tend to focus on what they're going through. Victims tend to focus basically on, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm going through. And I said, you know what? Those people changed my life. Why am I saying this? It's because I'm talking to those heroes right now. I'm talking to people who are in the trenches with me, who are fighting. I'm an offensive lineman. Nobody knows who offensive linemen are. We hide in plain sight, but it's people like you that are in the trenches fighting for me, fighting with me. So I can only say two words to you at this time. Thank you. Thank you for seeing the king in the kid. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for not looking at me as a stat and looking deep past the problems into possibilities, getting in the trenches. Because had it not been for people like you, I would not be standing here today. My wife thanks you. My son thanks you. My sons and daughters thank you. This is a generational battle. Remember one time I was playing offensive lineman for the Colts. And we would go through the series and the games. Now I walk past everyone signing autographs and everything. And I would look back and I would see my quarterback. All the press, everyone's around him. No one's around me. I helped make that moment happen. And then he would look up and we would make eye contact for like a second or two. And he would say, good job. Sometimes that's all we need. So you know what? I'm here to tell you today. Good job. And thank you. Thank you for helping me break the chains, that I can help break the chains over others, and I can be a hero. You see, heroes begot heroes. You are the heroes. And at the end of the day, what I'm going to do is I have a phone book. I have 3 little phone books. I'm going to take these phone books in my hand and I'm going to rip them right down the middle, but I want this to represent something. And I know I'm over my time, but just bear with me. I want this to represent the script that's been written over so many people's lives with disabilities. I want this to represent the low expectations. I want this to represent what you think is a mundane job or an activity. We're going to put it in this book. We're going to rip the script and we're going to change lives. So on a count of 3, I don't want you to yell too loud. I want you to get fired from your job, but just say it real soft and real low. Rip the script, because that's what we're doing. Give me a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This
Amazing.
is what we're doing every day. We're ripping the script. Thank you. Play to win.